Our hazelnut trees have done incredibly well over the last couple years, and we never intended for these trees to stay planted this close together, but when we first got them, we just stuck them here temporarily until we figured out where we were going to put them, and then they just kind of did nothing, and we weren't even sure that they were going to actually make it. But in the last 2 years, they just exploded. The nuts are finally starting to drop, and I think we're going to get quite a few this year. That's all the hazelnuts I see ready today. I'll just have to keep a really close eye on this because I really like to get them right before they fall off the tree because it's just a lot easier to find them that way. Gaja really likes those hazelnuts, so we have to keep that little fence around them because I'm pretty sure she would eat every one of them. Come on, Gaja. Last night we got a whole bunch of rain and wind, and quite a few of the tomatoes got knocked off the vine, but most of them are probably okay unless the bugs got to them already. I had a whole lot of trouble this year getting my peppers to germinate, and then once I finally got them to germinate, I had a whole lot of trouble getting them to grow in our clay soil. And I thought the only peppers that I had out here originally that survived were cayenne peppers. I didn't realize that I actually had jalapenos out here until like last week. And there's actually quite a few plants out here, and they've got some decent sized jalapenos on them, so bonus. I had to go back and get changed because even though it was in the 40s this morning, it is really starting to warm up quickly. That's all the tomatoes for today, and there's still quite a few out here, but I'm going to get these inside and process the ones that need to be taken care of right away. Since I've been bringing in the majority of the tomatoes and freezing them and then processing them into sauce in bulk, I'm running out of space in my freezers again. I pulled out a whole bunch of them and I'm getting them thawing because I'm going to go ahead and turn a whole bunch of these into sauce. Maybe even go ahead and can them tonight if I have time. This year, for saving our seed potatoes, we put our potatoes in a bucket and then Glenn buried the bucket right there, and we put a bale of hay on top of it because the lid actually isn't buried, and we're hoping that this is going to act like a root cellar. The next big task on the menu today is cutting down all these sunflowers, well, as many as I can manage today. These sunflowers we just planted to be used as chicken feed, the sunflower seeds as chicken feed, and the birds have really gotten into them. I wish I had cut these down earlier, but I just kind of got behind on things. But next year, I'm definitely gonna have to prioritize cutting these much sooner. Luckily, it doesn't look like the birds really did that much damage. wheelbarrow is full, so I'm gonna go ahead and hang these. That's probably like almost half of them. The problem with drying our sunflowers is keeping both the birds and little critters like mice and stuff away from them. So as much as we would love to like hang them in our equipment shed or in like the goat barn, actually we don't have room in the goat barn right now, it still would be tricky keeping like critters away from it. So what we did is here in our storage building, we have this room that was designed to be a bathroom, but we don't use it. The whole building we just use for storage. But we had 4 eye bolts on hand. We could always get more if we need them, but we used what we had and we hung up some wire. And if this is not enough to hang all the sunflowers, then we'll just add more wire. And this should keep all the critters away from our sunflowers. I like to cut the sunflowers in varying lengths, some longer, some shorter, and the reason why is I can fit a lot more on a wire without having to worry about them being so crowded that they hold in moisture. And then for little guys like this, where you can't really hang it by any of the leaf stem things because they're just not strong enough to hold it, even if it'll hold it temporarily, it'll fall off. I just hang it by the head itself. And I don't want to do them all that way, which you could, but it would take up a whole lot more space. I think that's all the sunflowers I'm gonna have time for today because I do need to go work on those tomatoes. Good news is I think we're gonna have plenty of room for all the sunflowers with the wire that we already did. We shouldn't have to add any more. So you can stack these in pretty tight, and as long as they have a little bit of airflow, you should be fine. But I will say, if you've never hung sunflowers before, you might want to be careful where you do it because as they dry, they make a huge mess. Most of our sunflowers grew pretty small, and that was simply because the area they were grown in, not only is it heavy clay, but it's super rocky, and I knew whatever I planted there was not going to do well, and so I didn't want to risk planting something there that we were relying on as one of our staple crops. So I thought it'd be a good place to try to plant the sunflowers there, and obviously their growth was very stunted. This is a shame because that's actually a decent little swath of our garden that whatever I plant there is not going to thrive. All right, come on, Katja, tomatoes. Out of all the different tomato processing methods I've tried over the years for turning your tomatoes into sauce, I have never found a method that I like better than the freezer method. And you just clean the tomatoes up real good, cut off any bad spots, anything that's too green, and then decore them, stick them in the freezer, and then when you take them out and thaw them, the skins just slip right off, and you can put them straight in the blender. And actually what's great about it too is a whole lot of the water in the tomato gets frozen and extracted from the tomato, so you have less boiling. What is this? What is this? Huh? What are you doing? Being naughty. You're being naughty? Yes. But yeah, so you end up with a lot less water to boil down, so you have less boil time. And the only thing is you still have the seeds in the sauce, which we don't mind, but if you don't want the seeds, then you probably have to find a different method. Katja, you're being very naughty. Look at you. But I'm making spaghetti for dinner tonight. Maybe. And Audra, you're being really bad tonight. She's turning into a teenager, I think, and she's starting to feel her oats a little bit more.